Welcome to the Ashraf Garda Show.
So I've got 5 things I want to say in terms of categorizing this week's brand hits and brand misses, right? Let me run through them. The big brand hit for me has got to be Nike. They've already been voted not just amongst the leading global brands, but even Africa's most loved brand. Now you probably will know why. They've just put out that recent advert, and it is such an impressive, iconic advert for the ages, where that's the one with the split screen, and sometimes you get one athlete in split screen, color, black and white, 2 different motions, and sometimes you get 2 different people fused together to give that one image. But it's really beautiful. It moves from athletes on the field to them taking a stand against maybe women covered in a burqa, to people who may be gay, and embracing all of that, to issues around COVID-19, and that's put a stop to live sports, certainly as we know it. Then to issues around Black Lives Matter. So again, all this comes in one advert, and then finally it talks about you can't, the big punchline, you can't stop sport, says the advert, with the sport then scratched out, saying you can't stop us. So it's a fascinating advert, because once again, Nike has been and continues to be at the forefront of social issues, and it merges what they're famous for in terms of providing apparel for sportsmen and women. It merges that with sports events, but then very strong now, increasingly so, on big, massive social justice issues. Even if you know nothing about Nike, the brand, the advert is brilliant, but the messaging is even more important. You can't stop us. Have a look at that. It certainly is a brand hit for me, and I expect it to be a brand hit for you as well. Let's get to the brand miss then. So Nikon, the company that provides cameras for all the photographers of the world. Well, in South Africa, goodness, a serious, let's call it an own goal, right? They put out a campaign with a series of influencers, and that's great, who will then use the Nikon cameras with a whole lot of campaigns that they would do, and that's fantastic. But there's a big but. They've picked 7 influencers. Now, this is South Africa. Of the 7 influencers, just one of them is a black South African. The others are white. I mean, immediately is a disconnect. You can't imagine sort of going to say Egypt, for example, and of those Egyptians, 7 of them, just about all of them don't reflect Egyptian society. So it's a huge problem. There's been a massive outcry. I know advertising agencies that use the Nikon cameras at this point in time are saying almost, even if we use them, because out of necessity, we're certainly not going to allow their brands to be visible. I'm not too sure what the Nikon response has been so far, but they need to come back strongly with this one here. At this point in time, so 1 black South African out of 7 sends out the wrong image. And once again, coming on the back of Black Lives Matter and so much else happening around the world, you have to wonder about this clear example of being tone deaf. So again, when people pitch ideas and they get the influencers and they push it out, who makes the final decision? Who sits in the boardroom? Who signs off and say, okay, we've crossed the T's, we've dotted the I's, we're okay to go? Who makes that call, reflecting that the campaign is made in South Africa? So for now, clearly a brand miss for me, and they need to come back strongly and salvage what they're all about. Now, the other one has got to be ANC Friday. So it's an interesting one, because the ANC, as you know, is the ruling party in South Africa, under serious attack of perhaps poor leadership and issues of corruption within the party from party officials, and it's come to the fore. Leading officials have stated their claims. So here it is. I understand this campaign that happened on a Friday started by someone, no name, who's been sending out a message on WhatsApp telling people to get behind the ANC Friday because the ANC has been given a bad name. And although they're saying that, yeah, we're not for corruption, we need to sort of come out and support the ANC. What has happened? So hashtag ANC Friday. What has happened, in fact, is yes, there's been many people who are supporters of the ANC who's then been supporting ANC Friday, but very quickly that campaign turned around because then people started showing examples of poor leadership under the ANC. I think at some stage, I mean, the lesson has got to be some things you just don't do, and it's just not the right time to do so. What they should have done is, there's nothing wrong in supporting the ANC. I mean, they're the political party that delivered freedom to South Africa. But what they should have done, if these predominantly young South Africans, partisan to the ANC, felt so strongly about the ANC getting a bad name, what they should have done perhaps is like an ANC not in my name campaign to say, you people who are guilty of corruption, who are guilty particularly now of corruption around COVID-19 relief, right? You don't speak in our name. You're giving my ANC a bad name. And that would have been more impactful. I look forward to seeing now what they're going to do next, or is it going to be a one-week campaign? End of discussion. But for now, that's a campaign that I think badly backfired on the ANC. And yes, it started by young people, but the question is, what does the ANC mother body do about it? So ANC Friday, for me, a brand miss. Staying with the brand miss, and I'll take it to the president of South Africa, President Ramaphosa, who's of course an ANC elected official, right? Not so much about what he said, but what he hasn't said. I think increasingly at this point in time, there's a growing chorus from people saying, please don't just speak to the nation, but please have a Q&A. I think the nation wants to see him talk and then seeing journalists ask him follow-up questions based upon what he said, particularly around COVID-19 and the issues of job losses and the economic decline in our country. At this point in time, simply giving people what you want to say and no follow-up, no Q&A is one-sided, and it lacks leadership. And you know, what is that story? The people shall govern. So the people have a sense that they don't really govern when the leader doesn't allow either the people to ask questions or representatives of the people via the media to ask questions on their behalf based upon the decisions and the pronouncements of the president. So for this point in time, not because of what he said, but what he didn't say, it's a brand miss for now to Mr. President Ramaphosa, but perhaps relook at it. Have the Q&A. It'll change things. It'll change perceptions of you very, very quickly. Okay, do I have more? So I've had one hit. I've had 1, 2, 3 misses already. Let's end with a hit. The G Sport Awards, and this is fascinating. It was started by Kaz Naidu, herself a pioneer in the field as a broadcaster, the first female South African cricket commentator, one of the very few in the world. And then she launched, together with her husband, Rake, the G Sport Awards. Incredibly, it's 15 years running this month, okay, 2020. And when you look at where she started with no sponsors, I think one award, I think that's Penny Haynes, who got the first one and only award, to the latest offering. And the social media presence is phenomenal as far as I'm concerned. The way that her female constituency has come together and supported the G Sport Awards as the preeminent female sport awards in this country for sports, for media, for sponsorship. I've no doubt about it. It's an incredible situation. I mean, I know we at Champion South Africa were very willing to identify Kaz Naidu as a champion, and I would say it again, Kaz, you certainly are a good example of the type of champion people that we need to build a champion nation. You've done that already with G Sport. I think it's just fabulous. 15 years, and that's an absolute brand hit for me. And perhaps it's a way to inspire others to see how you can build a property from absolutely nothing.